Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of season 2 of the Maiden Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Mighty Vicious, and today I'm here always with my hetero life mate, Jamie James, the Emperor, and we are joined by Abbie from Media
Hi.
Molecule. And we told everybody that we'd eventually get a member of Media Molecule on here, and just we're so happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
No, I'm really glad to be here. I am sorry it's taken us this long to get someone on the show. I'm really hope that we're able to do more with, joining community streams and podcasts and all that kind of thing. It's really fun.
Awesome.
Hopefully, it's really fun. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that at the beginning of the show.
Well, I guess take a moment and introduce yourself to everyone for those that maybe haven't caught Media Molecule streams or whatever. Just tell us about you. Let us into your life.
Um, so my name is Abbie Heppe. I am the live product lead for Dreams at Media Molecule. And let's see, I've been working in the games industry for almost 16 years.
Oh, wow.
I started off in print media, working at a magazine called Tips and Tricks. And then I worked in television for a network that actually just got rebooted, kind of, G4. And I was the senior content producer for G4 for a show called X Play. And I did that for a few years. And then I worked at Respawn Entertainment when they were starting up and managing sort of like community and, that side of like live service for Titanfall.
Yeah.
And a bit on Titanfall 2 for a few years.
Mm.
And then I came to Media Molecule. So that's been kind of my journey.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, I have to say that's a pretty awesome journey. I'm a fan of Respawn. Well, yeah, I'm a fan of Respawn. I'm just not into like the later like the games like they just released, but that's just because I've kind of fallen out of love with like shooters. So Dreams is like my lifeblood right now. So all right. So I guess from there, if you want to, because we had taken questions from the community and people that are in our Discord, and before we get into questions, if you would like to say, I guess what you can and can't do, what we don't want to sandblast you and just grind
Sure.
you in the dust.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys were kind enough to, just sort of show me some of the questions that have been asked and let me look through and say, like, there's obviously some things I'm not going to be able to talk about. And some of those are things that people desperately want answers on. And so, like, no, I'm not going to be able to talk about like PS5 or features, and I won't be able to get into any details of multiplayer, which is definitely in the works. I don't know if you've seen our hiring list.
Yeah.
So there's some things that I can't talk about, but I just, what I wanted to say about that is like, it's not because we don't want to, or there's anything that we're trying to hide. I actually really believe that we should talk about these things when we have enough details to really like have a thorough discussion about it with the community, when we have things to test, when we can tell you, this is coming now. And that's the kind of, stuff that we just want to be ready to share those kinds of things. And so like, I don't want to go out ahead. And we have done that a bit in the past, to be fair. And we're still talking about some of those bits that we want to release to the community, stuff like 3D printing. But we're a small team and we're growing, and we want to support everything, but it does take us some time.
All right. Well, I mean, I was going to say, because we were talking about it before we went live, and that was the topic I wanted to bring up because a person on Twitter, I can't remember who said it, but they're probably in here right now. When you guys first put out a bunch of information, somebody in the comments was like, that's a mistake. and I was like, huh. I think it might be right. And then he was like, yeah, because, or as you were saying, y'all put out like, hey, we're working on this. And I'm sure y'all just got barraged by every type of detail question that could come in return to you. So, I mean, we
Yeah,
understand.
I'm sure that everybody who's in the chat and you guys understand how like complex streams is. And that also means that sometimes like things that from the outside look like they're easy to implement also means that there's a whole lot of work that people don't see that's just invisible, parts of development. And these things do take time. That is the life of game development.
As
But I
people who
think as
play Dreams
well,
are learning.
Yeah, I mean, you're all developers too, anyway, in Dreams. So, like,
yeah,
I think you
that's
totally
what I
get
was.
that. Probably
That's
speaking
what
to the right audience.
I was going to bring up. I think with Dreams, it's quite special because the game is revolved around people creating games. I think people have such an understanding for not releasing information too early because people can appreciate the same thing for their own games that they're making. They know they don't want to sort of show everything too early. So when it comes to Media Molecule not doing it, I think we have such a great connection with Media Molecule and the community in that respect because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't get angry about it because they know it themselves because they're using Dreams to do the thing that you're developing anyway. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's funny. We sort of, we sort of realized that like parallel path, especially when we were, releasing the beta, and as we've been on this journey with Dreams, where, we'd see like, even people post release dates and be like, well, actually, it's going to be a little bit later, and we're like, yeah, I feel ya. We know how this goes. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get right into the questions that I picked from what our fans gave that I felt like you could still answer, and if there's any left over, Jamie, please
Yeah.
skim through that for me. But the first fan question came from Y Ledbetter, and it says, "Are you working on anything in Dreams with your free time?"
Mm. So right at the beginning of like lockdown, I started getting really into making these like generative music like visualizers. And then I started working on a game that's like a floor is lava like pillow fight game. I think that is completely inspired by spending a lot of time in my living room. Just have really obvious inspiration there. Um, right now, I'm sort of in a lull, and I think that's because like where I'm not working on anything in particular, and I think that's because I am really busy on the Impy Awards and sort of like figuring out and designing that show. And like to me, sometimes that feels like I'm working on this massive dreams project because we're making it all in dreams this year because we're not in the studio and we're not doing it live. And so sometimes my work projects sort of overtake my like life projects.
Yeah. So next question would be from Capital TV, formerly Captain Morgan, and you don't have to answer this one, but it was pretty basic. What's the color of your socks?
Oh, they're sort of gray. I mean, like you can kind of see them. Like it's
All
cold,
right.
and they're just like nice, thick, warm woolen socks. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, then next is Lucid Stew.
If I'd known, I would have worn more exciting socks. By the way, I feel like I should have paid more attention.
Comfy socks are exciting socks. So that's they look comfy. So, but he says, my question for Abbie: what is it like working with someone as dreamy as Tom Dent?
As you can see, these are really relevant questions.
I have had like Tom's wonderful. He is such a joy to work with, and I have like felt so tragically bad for him over the couple months where our like Twitch account was misbehaving and like streams were going haywire. I felt a tremendous amount of sympathy for him. He's lovely to work with, and takes his job very seriously, and I think he's just fabulous.
All right. Yeah. Then
I mean,
I
I guess this is a weird place to say, but like, the team that I work with at MM is so fun and so creative, and like, it's such a pleasure, like seeing the way that their brains work, and giving them an idea and seeing how they run with it, and like all the sort of creative things they do, and what they come up with. Like, it is really an interesting and very creative team to work with. It's cool.
I bet. I bet the envy of everyone in this chat right now. Because we did have a person ask. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and get to it. Eddie or OTMB Cobra asked, "Hire me, please," with a heart. That's it. There's no real question.
Well, I think it's like we do like what makes some of what makes hiring really hard is that like we are like we hire our full-time positions out of the UK, and we don't always have job roles open up because we're fairly small. So actually, that's the same for most game studios. There's just not always job roles available. But actually, we have been hiring a fair amount for lots of various positions and within the community as well. And, we'll continue to have more listings. And I think I always encourage people to apply, to other game studios and stuff too. Like there's an amazing group of developers that are working in Dreams, and a lot of the skills are super relevant to working in the industry. And even if your Media Molecule is your top choice and something else isn't, like I would never let that dissuade me from applying somewhere else and trying it if that's really what you want to do.
Really good advice.
Yeah, previous experience never hurt anybody.
So very rarely do any of us start in our like dream job working for the dream person, and frankly along the way sometimes we discover that like our dream job isn't actually what we wanted to do, or where we wanted to work, or we have different dreams. And I think it's always worth like trying and getting a foot in the door and getting some experience and building towards bigger and better things. Like that's how people start their careers.
Yeah. So, did you want to interject with some of the questions non-fan that you have, Jamie, or should we get through the first wave?
I think we should get through the first wave of the fan comments.
Okay.
Question.
Well, this one is also from Why Ledbetter, and feel free to. It's a hard one, but feel free to answer if you can. What does Tom smell like? Yeah, what does Tom smell like? Is it mahogany and purity? Is that what he's? Okay,
I think you're gonna need to get Tom Dent on here to answer.
Hey, if all goes well, please tell your friends at Media Molecule. We'd love to have more conversations. Okay, now we'll get to an actual question. So Downer Island said that my question for Media Molecule is, are you willing to have a weekly, bi-weekly stream like the Maiden Dreams podcast? Haha, thanks for plugging us. Where you talk about the direction and future of Dreams as a platform. This is something that...
yeah, I loved that question because we're starting to take a little bit of a pivot to our Tuesday streams, where we're sort of opening it up to a bunch of different ideas. Mm-hmm. We're thinking about how we make sort of like different shows and different ways to keep the Dreams community informed. And we just had Jen Simpkins join our team from Edge, and her position is editorial manager. And so one of the things that she's really going to be tackling is how we keep people informed, what opportunities there are to have a podcast, or get some of those editorial elements in game, or really cover people who are doing really great stuff in Dreams. She's just started, so just like give her, we threw her right onto the info.
Give her 3 days.
She's already doing an amazing job. But I think that we've definitely realized the need for that stuff, and it's something that I really feel passionate about doing as well. And I think you'll start to see more of that soon.
Well, just to once again shamelessly plug ourselves, if y'all want to, we'd love to be official. But let's get to the next question.
Well, actually, part of that, and this is a good place to say that too, is like we really do want to find ways to better like showcase and like show off our the great support that we get from people on Twitch and on YouTube and through podcasts, and making sure that we make In Dreams more of a hub to find those things and to locate those shows. And so we're working on a bit more of an events calendar for In Dreams that'll tell you when things are upcoming and like what's happening on that day. And we want to include community as part of that. So like we are working on that kind of stuff and figuring out how we integrate those things into the game more and sort of tie everything together. It's a really big piece of what my team is doing.
Oh, wow. That's actually really interesting that you're trying to bringing the outside of Dreams stuff into Dreams is really that's quite nice. I really like that. That's a really good idea.
It's such a good community, and people do such a good job of helping each other and like educating each other about things in Dreams and about really building that community and giving people a voice. And like, I always want to make sure that like we're doing that as well.
Awesome. As always, I don't think anybody feels negative feelings towards Media Molecule. Like the whole community like there's another reason that I refuse to move on to another game. Like the community in that Media Molecule has cultivated with Dreams and prior games like Little Big Planet, like in Tearaway, like all these things just the community is just always so helpful. And as an older gamer, I feel more comfortable here, you know, than going to some place like, yeah, you were talking about how you play COD. Like, I don't know how many times in the past I've heard things about my mom in that game, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to hear about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
there's a reason I don't play with, comms on at this point. I've done that for too long. Play as a group and stay in sort of a party and socialize with friends. And yeah, I totally understand.
yeah,
It's really nice to be a part of a community that is, kind and caring and supportive.
definitely. And we tell them all the time how much we love them.
Oh, we do.
Yes, yes. So, next question, and I would say this is the last question that we have from fans at the moment, but we'll be checking chat and I'll be adding them for later.
Yeah, I'm really happy for people to ask stuff.
Yeah. Insane Alpha Beta says that before Dreams, there was a game that was kind of similar to it called Project Spark. It, like Dreams, was a creative tool that allowed you to make games. Unfortunately, though, that game eventually died and couldn't sustain itself. Did Project Spark help Media Molecule learn what mistakes not to make during the creation of Dreams?
No, I feel especially during the creation of Dreams, we were kind of wrapped up in Dreams. I think, we do. That's not to say that we don't learn things from lots of other games. Like, we're not the only, creative game in the space anymore by a long shot. I think there's a lot of really socially driven, really crate driven games out there, especially at this period in time. And so there are things that we do sort of learn about them. But Dreams is also so unique that like, it's always about finding the things that resonate with what you're building and what you're making. And, I think sometimes when you look to other games to see how you did them, while there are good lessons and we work in an amazing industry that I think does a lot of great information sharing, you always have to figure out how to apply those things and figure out what applies and doesn't apply to what you're working on.
Yeah.
I definitely find with Dreams that like things are it's just Dreams is complex. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but like there's nothing else quite like it in some ways. So,
No,
there's bits where we have to sort of forge our own path.
yeah. I mean, there's plenty of, as you said, there's plenty of creative tools out there, especially for console, to sort of make stuff. But like you said, Dreams is so special because I think Dreams, in my opinion, is the only creational suite that offers everything. So you can create games, you can create film. It's got a full music, digital audio workface. It literally has everything all in one space. And that's what I think makes Dreams so unique, is because, we've seen things like Project Spark where you can create games, but that's it. You can only create games, and even with Spark, it was a bit limited, but still, you couldn't make film, you couldn't make music. Everything was just pre-rendered within the system. Whereas with Dreams, you can be a musician and just buy Dreams to purely make music. You don't have to be interested in making or playing games, and that's what makes it so special. Is it's not just limited to the gaming community. It's everything creative.
Yeah, I certainly think being able to create your own art styles and really create things that, sometimes like we look at things made in Dreams, go like, that was made in Dreams. And, I think that is, that's one of the things that really makes it stand out.
Indeed. So this is where we're going to switch over from fan questions to our questions. So this is where the hardball begins.
Yeah, get ready.
Are you ready? No.
I am so ready, yeah.
All right. So Jamie, I'll let you start with number one.
Oh, you're giving me the handle. Oh, where to begin?
You have the conch shell.
Okay, I'm going to start off with something completely different than what we've been talking about. And that is that a lot of people in the Dreams community have been talking lately that there's not enough players within the community. And by players, I mean people to actually play the games. There's more people creating than there is playing, and so obviously the play count is affected by that. So my question was, is Media Molecule aware of this, and are you doing anything about it in the near future?
Yeah, I think one of the things that, maybe isn't immediately apparent is that like we can see a lot of what happens in dreams. Like we have a pretty like comprehensive analytics setup. And so, a lot of what my team is looking at right now, and we are focusing specifically on, players and making it easier for players to engage with content. I think you can see that through a lot of the work that we've done with curation. We've spent right before the holidays started, we were working a lot on like banners and playlists and surfacing content and looking at that kind of thing. Some of the things that we're looking at now are curated playlists. So you would be able to, set what you want to see on the dream surfing side of dreams. We're, looking at things like message of the day, which is coming in an upcoming thing. We're update thing.
Exclusive.
But we're looking at a lot of features to move the needle for players, and to make sure that we're doing things that drive people to content that showcase a lot of the really great stuff in dreams. That's been a really big focus, and I think especially like hiring Jen and having someone who's looking after that editorial side, and working with the larger team on how we do that, and really making that the focus of the updates and things that we're doing now and for the next few months is really important. But we were ahead of that. Like that's part of the reason why it's always like heartbreaking when you're a developer to read criticism, and especially when it's valid and you're working on it and you're working really hard on it. And I think that's what we just really want to get across to people is like we generally have a good idea of what's happening, and we're always looking ahead to see how we can move that needle.
Great.
Awesome. And I'm wondering, do you need I guess it's too late for an icebreaker. So I had an icebreaker question, but you know what? I'm just going to throw it out later and we'll see how it works. So
Cool.
We've all heard that Dreams is a 10-year plan. At least that's what Sony told us. And
she mentioned that.
Yeah, I'd hate to put this into a games as service framing, but is there an end game for Dreams that y'all are striving for?
So, it's such a good question. I mean, I don't even think it's possible because I don't think that we'll ever run out of things that we want to do in it. I mean, because even on the feature side, there's a lot of things that we want to accomplish. Like there's a lot in the works and some stuff that I'm really excited about, and things that I think everybody's going to be excited about. Like, we haven't made it a secret that we're working on multiplayer. That's going to be very cool. But I think that's sort of scratching the surface of things that the team wants to bring to Dreams. And, even if it's not a specific like feature, like the stuff that especially the comms team has been working on this year about doing collaborative events and like finding ways for people to create content together, like the haunted house project for Halloween and that kind of stuff. There's just these kind of endless possibilities for things that we think are interesting and cool and want to do with it ourselves. So, I mean, I don't even think that like 10 years really covers it all in some ways.
That's what we hope.
I mean, my personal thing is like I love working on Dreams. Like I feel really inspired to do things, with it, and I always have an idea in my head for something we can do with it next. And I think that's everybody on the team really.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. And I'll be revisiting a bit of that question a little bit later if all plays out how I expect. You got next, Jamie.
Oh, I'm up next. Okay. So 3D printing. You guys you showed that a while ago now, quite some time ago. You posted some pictures on the Twitter account of things that's been 3D printed.
Totally.
I assume it's quite easy to do from a developing point because obviously you have access to Dreams in a much different way than what we as consumers do. But is it on the cards to ever become something that the consumers can use?
Yes, yeah, I would say yes. And actually those conversations, it's one of those things where we have so many different projects going on, and sometimes that one gets, like put on the back burner when we have things that take priority, especially, given our team size. And, but I think there are enough people who feel passionately about, getting it done and getting it out there. But that's another one where it says it looks sort of simple from the outside, but in reality, there's a legal side of it. There's a, consumer facing side of it where, we need to make it be something that everybody can use and has a great interface. And, there's all these sort of like complex things that follow onto it that all need to be sorted out, that take people from multiple disciplines to make happen. So, the short answer is yes. And the long answer is it's a lot of work.
It'll be really interesting to see that come to fruition. I think a lot of people would love to see their characters that they've built in Dreams be able to just click a button on your DualShock and print it out, put it on your shelf. It's just
that'd be very cool.
It'd just be such a cool feature.
Yeah, and and the good thing is it is still something that we actively play with, and John Beach especially, I know, has a true passion for it.
Interesting. I wonder if he's 3D printing his train set from Dreams into reality.
I don't know. Ask another question.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Confirmed.
I'm gonna give you a choice this time. Do you want left field question, or do you want let's continue to be super serial?
Give me a left field, and then we can go back to the serious stuff.
Okay, here we go. When will a Power Glove 2.0 be available as an accessory for Dreams?
Oh God, probably when you 3D print one out of it. Just don't tell me about
it. Amazing answer. I'm going to keep going. I had to. It's a running gag because I constantly try to defend the Power Glove and the concept and how it was ahead of its time, and the fact that no one's really tried to do it again kind of bothers me, because I keep thinking of a Naruto game where you do the hand jutsus. And I'm I don't even like Naruto like that, but the idea of doing that makes me kind of be I might buy that. But anyway, okay, we'll do the serious question.
Before its time argument, okay.
Yeah, you can come back for a full podcast based on just this argument if you would like, anytime. Jamie, you're yay. Nope. Okay, so I'll move on to a serious question. Here we go. So I actually, you know what? I asked you about this, but we'll see beforehand. But let's see how this plays. So on the PS5, one of the most exciting features for me when I think about Dreams is the picture-in-picture, specifically VR, and the idea of being able to use artistic references while sculpting in VR. Has Media Molecule looked into something like this?
Yeah, we sort of talked about this earlier. I don't actually know how possible that is. I think it's a really cool idea. It sounds like something that's completely up our alley, but I don't even know. But I think it's a great idea. I'd hope it works. I'd love to see a prototype. But I think that is one that goes on the hey, is this possible pile for us?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it would just be such a quality of life feature for Dream Shapers, because a lot of people inspire from different models and sculptures of buildings that they want to recreate within the Dreamiverse. So being able to have that reference directly on screen as opposed to off of the screen on maybe a phone or a laptop, so it's directly there whilst you're sculpting, I think would be so beneficial to so many people.
Yeah, the first stream where I saw Pablo draw what he was animating out on on the wall, and then use it in the game, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. But really, that's the kind of feedback, and that's the kind of idea that's we love when people share with us, because it's a really interesting thing. And while say I actually don't know if that's possible or not, or what it takes, or what work is entailed to make that happen, is a really cool thing, and it's at least worth a discussion, which I think frankly we do a lot of. Is is this cool? Is this possible?
I could just imagine the meetings at Media Molecule on a Monday morning. They just get in a room and they're like, okay, let's just spit ideas and see what flies.
It's really not like our Monday morning meetings.
Well, Jamie, you take next.
All right, let's get up my list of questions here. Oh no, my computer's freezing. Don't freeze now. This is not the time. So are you working on anything yourself within Dreams? Do you have like your own passion project that you're working on?
Oh, I have a bunch of like half finished projects, but I sort of spoke to this earlier in the episode that like I have like I have a whole bunch of half finished things, but I'm not really working on anything currently because my work projects have kind of taken over my personal projects. I was really the thing that I was most excited to do this year. My big passion project was the Halloween haunted house. That was which ended up really being a work thing, but that was like very much like my thing that every day I was like, what about the haunted house? Can we do the haunted house? Bless Jamie Breeze for like entertaining these ideas and figuring out how to actually make them work.
Awesome. So I guess we'll continue with the hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
You see, all my questions are nice, but Will has all the hard ones, so.
Yeah, I'm being painted in a certain light right now. No, I'm just let's see. So I've seen people use Dreams for like interior design and making their actual houses and wallpaper, paint schemes, all of that. Like, was that something that you hear talked about around the offices that you foresaw when doing this, or did you think it wouldn't reach that big? Like, as far as
I did in a way because like I really like that kind of stuff. Like I just have a personal interest in it. Like when I actually moved house this year, and before I moved, I started like putting the architectural plans into Dreams and like messing around with like furniture and setup and just trying to you know doing it virtually. So I mean I think. We I know we've had some other conversations internally about it in different contexts too, that like I think it first came up for me when we were sort of like scrolling through the Dreamiverse and thinking like as you're kind of putting together a level sort of like having a like a store, like a sort of virtual IKEA. Like we have actually talked a bit about it, so I wouldn't say I'm surprised by it, but I think it's really cool. Like I've really enjoyed seeing a lot of the interior design stuff pop up on Twitter. It's like just like a personal interest. I have a bunch of stuff I've designed in Dreams that's literally just like architecture and rooms and that kind of stuff myself.
I mean, I find it fascinating because, Dreams is such a powerful tool, and we've actually spoke to people on the show that have actually found their passion for architecture whilst playing Dreams, and now they're pursuing a career in it, and it's just so amazing to see that, Dreams managed to be able to show someone something that they necessarily wouldn't have found otherwise, and now their life is going to be completely changed by it. And you could literally use Dreams as a tool to start off with architecture, because you could easily make one-to-one within Dreams.
Yeah.
It's such a precise tool for building, buildings and the intricacy of rooms and things. You could literally use it for your job, and it's just such an amazing thing to say that you could use a PS4 to do that with.
Yeah, I really love that. It's really fun watching people find their passion. I when I was a teenager, I worked in public access television, and it it was I was so passionate about it. I really loved it. Did like lots of little shows and stuff for it, and like I didn't even really think at the time like, oh, this is what I really am passionate about, and this is really what I want to do, and this is what I want to follow. And like, I actually did go to school for film, and then ended up really being a writer in Los Angeles. And and then I sort of, through various ways, came back to television. And even with Dreams, like the idea of doing, content and, making those kinds of like fun and silly like shows and things kind of back in the way that I used to do when I was working in like public access, it's kind of come full circle for me. And I really love that. Like, it's so exciting to have, a creative outlet that's just like a little bit different, sometimes a little bit chunky. I find that to be really fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Jamie.
Back to me. Okay.
Yeah. And if I see, hold on one second. If I see your questions in chat, I am adding them if I see them. If just keep trying.
All right. So is there a particular position within Media Molecule itself that you would love to reach to, or are you pretty much in the dream position for yourself within Media Molecule? Like, do you have a ladder of progression that you feel you want to get to, or?
So I mean, and someone sort of just mentioned this, Ugly Sofa Gaming just mentioned this in the chat, like, can we hear about your new role? And um, I very much love live service. I really like looking after this. I've been really, um, pushing to sort of connect all the different pieces of the teams that work on live and um, create that roadmap for for the year and for the updates that we're doing and what we're looking at and when. And so I'm really excited about having the opportunity at to do that. And I think I that is what I really love to do. Like, I am really passionate about both dreams and live service and supporting a community. So this is sort of the like perfect encapsulation of all the things that I find really interesting about the work that I do and have done in the industry. So yeah, it is really this. And I think that yeah, I'm just really happy that I have the chance to do that at
Yeah, it's great to see that you've got to a position that you feel is worthy of your time, and it's yeah, but that's the thing, with any job that you do, you've got to be happy doing what you're doing, and you have to have a goal to get where you want to be, and it sounds like you're in that sweet spot, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah. Well, I really like working with people. I really like working with creative people. And I really like, helping that, I love seeing that sort of come to life and seeing other people enjoy it. And I'm really lucky to work with a team that is super passionate, super creative, and just like gets the job done. And then, and more. Like, I'm always like, what I love about them is you'd be like, what if we did this? And then they just turn around something that's like totally what that is, but better. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome. So I guess it correlates kind of to that, but like a while back, Media Molecule was posting a lot about jobs that y'all were hiring for on Twitter and everything, and we've speculated here on the show that the lifespan of Dreams was kind of going to be dedicated for PlayStation to a never-ending indie game development asset for PlayStation, and we're wondering, like, is that the goal, or is that something that's been talked about? You don't have to really give us any details, but like, is that kind of like the latent function of the game, and why PlayStation was like pushing it really heavy in the beginning, just like that future or possible future?
I think the real truth of our hiring right now is that, like, it takes a lot of people to service a live service game. It really does. I mean, to be able to continuously roll out updates, to work on features, to support the kind of events that we've been doing over the past year, it really takes a lot. And so, we have to build our team size to be able to match the ambition of Dreams.
Yeah.
And so I think part of that, supporting the community, part of supporting those features, part of making sure that everything that we do is that we can do all the things that we want to with Dreams, is making sure that our team is big enough and well resourced enough to support that. So that is, we're sort of in that stage right now where we're hiring so that we can make a lot of that stuff possible. It's sort of just what it's like to make games in this day and age, and especially ones that are continuously updated and continuously churning out updates.
Hmm.
All right.
Well, that was actually going to segue into my next question, actually, which was, obviously, with all the hiring going on and everything, do you see Media Molecule growing into a much larger studio? Because as of right now, it's quite a nice, tightly knitted, sort of family-run studio, if you will. It has that sort of small vibe to it. I mean, do you see Media Molecule growing into a much larger entity now that Dreams is becoming larger, and obviously the more people that play Dreams, the more requirement there's going to be for handling everything. I mean, how do you see the evolution of Media Molecule going from this point?
Yeah, I think it's a great question about, company culture and, how you grow a studio and still retain that and still retain those values.
Yeah.
And And yeah, I do think that we will get, quite a bit bigger, but I also think that it's really important to everybody at our studio to maintain that vibe that's, that is caring, that is supportive, that's not like crunchy and tough and unenjoyable to work at. I think I've always loved how important the studio culture is, especially to Siobhan Reddy. I think she does an amazing job, making sure that our team is supported. And I think, like, it's sort of a choice that you make with like every hire is like, is this person going to be a good fit for that? Are they going to treat their coworkers with respect and help build a great place for people to work? And, I think we take that very seriously as a company.
Mm.
And
And
that's
that's the
why
thing,
Media Molecule is awesome.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Media Molecule as a studio fits really close to my heart and has done since Little Big Planet, because you guys are so different with your community of players. Against these other big massive studios that are not very honest with their players. They won't release any information, and they're just there for the money. It does not feel like that with Media Molecule at all. You guys are very honest. If something's not going to work, you're going to let the people know that it's not coming or it's not happening. You're very interactive with your community, and you're always there to talk to. If someone has a problem, I always see it on Twitter. The main account is always responding straight back. Well, let's chat and get this sorted out. Like, if something goes wrong, it's so nice to see that, and I think it's something that a lot of studios overlook and
Mhm.
are missing that connection with the player base. And it would be nice to see, as you expand, that continues to be the case.
Yeah, of course. And I think, it's part of those sort of core values of the studio and how we work with community and like the sort of pillars that we set for ourselves, as a company. I think that's really important. And that's what I'm saying when you're building a company culture, that it's really important to have those things and to stick by them and make sure that the decisions and the choices and the strategy and the, future planning that you do is aligned with them as well. And I think that that's really, like I said, something that we take very seriously.
Awesome.
Good to know.
I was gonna say, to point, like, Sean Freak Dreams asked in chat, like, how does the studio compare to previous workplaces? Is everywhere is crazy? I think it's every studio in this industry is different, and I've had the privilege of working with just some absolutely amazing people. And I think it's important to keep in mind when we have that conversation about company culture is that, sometimes it only takes one or two people at a workplace who are toxic. Think about it in a community sense, to really ruin that for everybody. And so, that's why these conversations about leadership and culture and all of those things are really important.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Awesome. And uh, I'm going to follow that up with a detailed question here, just to, because I want to know about the inner workings at Media Molecule. So I have a question for you. Here we go. Like captains of industry like Elon Musk have talked about this, and so I want to see how, if anyone at Media Molecule has thought about this. Are you afraid that dreams and its streamlining of life's joy and creative nourishment could evolve into the singularity that, while offering nirvana to humanity, may also bring about the automation of humanity's soul as a whole?
Every day.
I knew it. I knew it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here.
Several philosophical conversations about that.
Yes. Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
I mean, of course. Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. And on the back end of that, were the Flex and Dreams designed after the aliens in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise?
I mean, no, but
no. Every time I look at them and how they come up when you select them to draw, it's like the solid mass with the squiggles going out everywhere, and I'm like, I feel like somebody watched Edge of Tomorrow. Okay.
Somebody's gonna give me a screen grab of it later after this and be like, oh, I get it.
See, I'm just like I told everybody, the hard hitting questions here. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's all we do. That's all we do. All right, but now I'll get to a more, I guess, what the chat would say, serious question. So we've been working on a charity here at the Maiden Dreams podcast called Dreams
Mm.
for Kids. We intend to provide PS4s and dreams to underprivileged youths, and a lot of this is based on the love that we've all shown for the platform, but also my insistence that Dreams is the return of educational gaming, which
Mm.
has been the least used genre since I was a child. Does Media Molecule see Dreams in the same way as far as educational gaming?
Oh yeah. Jem Abdeen, who runs our outreach department, she has really worked very hard over the last, year talking to teachers, to schools. She's got some, programs up and running between Girls Make Games, and in, some schools in the UK. I think some like college level courses in
Oh,
Australia. Like we have this is actually something we've been doing and developing quite a bit. She's really the expert to talk about it. But it is something that we do a lot. We've run some courses in Dreams where people from the studio have worked with young people to create their first games, which I think is really special.
yeah, really.
Um, and it's something that I really look forward to, to building out. It is sort of difficult to get into the educational sphere. I think there's myriad challenges, but some of that is just, making sure that it's something that, teachers can use, and you're making sure that you have lessons plans that you can, pass over to people, and you know, and make sure that schools have equipment to do it. And like, there's a lot of, various complex things to it. But I
Absolutely.
think, it is something that we really have a passion for, and I'm really excited to see how it develops. And Sony's been really supportive in that respect too. So, I hope there's a lot of really good things to come in that
Awesome.
area.
Like,
I wonder if you grew up in the same area or same era as I did of like, I was like Math Blaster and number crunchers. There's a whole
yes,
bunch of sort of educational games that they
yes,
would put on their computers at school, and learn some basic programming in Logo 2,
yep.
making turtles. Yeah.
And,
See,
and that's the thing, because like with the logic within Dreams, I find it's extremely similar to logic outside of Dreams in other programs. And as someone that works in IT myself, the actual visualization of the logic in Dreams is so much more pleasurable to the eye to look at and be able to understand, as opposed to just letters on a screen.
yeah, very
And
intuitive.
Yeah.
even though I'm rubbish at logic, that's besides the point. But still, I can understand the logic in Dreams a lot better than I can code outside of Dreams, and that
Yeah, I know
really
what
has
you
something
mean.
to say
And I still
about.
think there's a lot more we can do. I think, I think that there's, there are some things that the team is working on now, to make create more approachable, to help it be more accessible to, more people.
Okay,
Um, and I think, but you're right. Especially I don't really have any background in coding, and this year is really the year I've been experimenting more with logic. And obviously I have a lot of support and people who it's really
Yeah.
easy to ask questions to. Um, but I think it's really cool to see people engage with it that maybe wouldn't have otherwise, and and sort of putting that like fun look on it, and
mm.
making it less intimidating. I think is really helpful. So I hope that becomes part of sort of making it an educational tool as well.
Well, it's really interesting that you bring up, that they're trying to make the logic more accessible for people, because that's also something that comes up in the community quite a lot, is that the majority of people find the logic the most difficult part when creating their creations.
It
I mean,
is, yeah.
so the fact that you're trying to make that easier for people is quite reassuring to the community, that you understand that the majority of the community find it troubling, and that you're working on a fix for that, which is
Well,
amazing.
a lot of it is how we teach people, and I think that's more of the side that we're looking at right now, and sort of how we we introduce those concepts to people and help them learn what's there. And then of course there's a huge backlog of requests and features. And like, I know sometimes it seems like, because we can't always do things immediately, that perhaps we have forgotten about some of the comments that we get on User Voice or now Zendesk. And let me assure you, we have not. It all sits in a big like backlog of features and things that like we are, that we parse through and we go, what should we put in the next update? Should we work on? How should we prioritize this? And and that is actually part of, what I'm doing in my new role, is making sure that, we're looking at all of that stuff and saying, hey, we should really escalate this. And obviously working with Alex Perry, who does an amazing job on the sort of Dreams live health side. And she sees all of those requests come in, and we're trying to make sure we get to all of that backlog at some point. I know it's big.
Yeah, there's probably quite a couple of thousand in there, I assume.
Yeah, there's a few. As it turns out, you all have made a few suggestions.
So I really would just want to, I guess I just really want to focus in on the last question that I did, because like Dreams, and I'm sure it's the same for everyone else, but it's extremely special to me because, and the educational point and why I ask about it is why, because there are people that just don't have the accessibility to the things that they're interested in. Like, for instance, I wanted to play guitar my whole life, but was never able to afford it. And finally, when I was 19 in college with a job, I was finally able to get it. And, sometimes, you can't do this often, but sometimes you look back and you're like, man, what if I had been able to get my hands on it when I was like 5 and really grow up with the guitar? And that's what I see is as beautiful about all the things that Dreams offers, and why it's super important, not only to our community, but I think it's important, and I'm sorry the way this may come off as super dramatic, but I think it's an important tool to the world. Like the idea that certain people and creative people that I know that, don't know it exists, it really is just like, I'm just like, what? Like I've bought Dreams for 3 friends. And we've given away a copy here on the podcast, and yeah, I'm just all about getting it into people's hands, because there's so many people that are creative and don't have a chance, and that's what I see as the overall promise of Dreams and what it really gives back to the community.
Yeah, I think about, like I sort of briefly touched on it, but like learning to, sort of, make things with like logo, growing up, and that was like sort of the extent of your create mode in some ways. If you were trying to learn, some sort of development in my generation. And, Mark Healy, one of the directors at MM, talks a lot about how his early experiences with Commodore 64, really, made him a game developer. And, and he went from sort of homebrew projects, to really, to working in the industry. And I think what's really cool is that like Dreams does that, but also, not just for game design, but, for art and for music and these other disciplines and animation. And I think that's really special. I think that opens doors to a lot more people. And I just think that that's so cool. I sort of, I wish that there was something that was more like that when I was younger. I think when I was that age, I loved games. I played tons of games. I was super into games, but I didn't see it as like a pathway to a career. And part of that was like a general ignorance of the games industry. The internet was not what it is now. Like
No, it was
the
not.
resources and, and the access that people have these days was just not there. And so, I went off and did my thing and never really thought about it until, there was a job, for a role at a games magazine. And I was like, wow, this is like 2 things I know about. I should go for it. But, I might have started on that path earlier if I had known what opportunities there were and really thought about, where I might be a good fit there.
Yeah. Yeah, just know from the community for any, and if there's other molecules, but also you, Abbie, just know that however much you think your community loves you, it's not even close. Like we love you guys a lot. So like it is brimming over, and thankfully we don't have any crazy people. Well, at least not many. I'm crazy. But anyway, the point is we love you. we love you and we love Media Molecule, and for the future of Dreams, we just wish nothing but the best. And you're changing lives out here. So
Just don't stop what you're doing. Just keep doing it.
yes,
I appreciate it so much. It like honestly, it really means a lot. People work really hard to to keep Dreams, going, supported, doing all the things, making stuff, and we do it because it's a great community to support, and it's seeing so much like joy and art and games and passion come out of it is like, I mean, like brings like a tear to the eye. I'm really excited for people to see the Impies, because like we put this show together, it's not just about like nominations and winners. It's like a love letter to the Dreams community and all the different things that happen throughout the year. And I really excited to like have that moment with everybody this year, especially because like what a year.
yeah.
I mean, just to put it into perspective for a second, I mean, let's really think about it. I mean, what other game studio do you know where a community got together to create a montage video of what Dreams means to everybody? Like, the community created this love letter video to Media Molecule. I'm sure everybody has seen it. It's called What Dreams Means to Me.
Had a few real good cries to that, I'll be honest.
And it's just like, when I first saw that, I was like, I have never seen a game studio that has so much pure love and passion for them. And I don't think that's ever going to be beat. You guys really have something truly unique, and that is your community, and it's what makes Media Molecule what it is, because you have an amazing community, and you guys are amazing with that community. And it's just like, it's such a joy to see, with so much rubbish in the world, and so much microtransactions and people hating on the developers for doing things that they shouldn't be doing. It's just such a fresh burst of air to see what you guys are doing is purely for the people.
It's such a legacy of really good people occupying those roles, whether it was Jenny or James and now Tom. And I think it's so important to have people that feel that way, that treat people with kindness and respect, and but also understand like those things that make the community here really special, and are always looking for new ways to support and be there. And I feel lucky. I didn't start it. I've just sort of lucked into like a really wonderful group of people. But I think it's really been cultivated over the years by some really wonderful people working on the community side.
Yeah, remember this when like people get a little boisterous online, and the talk may start in the back offices like, man, these entitled. No, but like just know that it all comes from love, that everybody's just like, we want Dreams to be everything to everyone. And so it's a driving force. Like, I'm staying away from tons of questions that I have where they would give way too technical as far as what we can cover in one episode. But we just,
well, of course, and it's always hard on the development side when like there's so many things you want to do, and like you still have to have a life and go home. I mean, we're all at home now, been at home for a while. And you always want to support, and it's frustrating when people point out things that like and you're working on and you want to do and all this stuff. It is really like it sometimes gets to you, but like I think like it's really important to to remember, I think, like you said, that it really our community is so supportive of us, and I think really wonderful, and that is not lost on us at all.
Yeah. Well, do you have any more questions left, Jamie?
Oh, I do.
Well.
By the way, someone keeps asking me where Beep is. If you don't know and you're just joining us, Beep is my cat. And also the voice of Lanswing in Dreams. And also, if you hear the little like stinger that's at the beginning of the of like one that at the beginning of the game, there's a little beep in there too. I don't know where he is, and I'm sorry, I can't see him from here. And if I could, I would show you this chonk of a cat, but I don't. Sorry.
Yeah, mine is directly behind me, so just like hiding right here. But yes, so guys, I've seen the beep questions, but I wanted to wait until we got back to the Chat
I'm trying. I'm
questions.
keeping an eye out, and if I do see him, I'll snag him. But he may be upstairs.
So my next question is like, with dreams, we see games seem to obviously take precedence within the whole Dreamiverse, and that's what it's sort of based around. But obviously, we still have, film, we have animation, we have music, and as of late, we've seen improvements to the dream surfing, where we've started to see a lot more categories come up for these different types of genres of media within dreams. And it's really nice to see that they're getting the appreciation on the main dream surfing page that they deserve. But can we expect any more updates for other types of media apart from games within dreams?
Yeah, actually, this is a conversation we have a bunch on the community side that yeah, about the categories and about how we showcase things. Like we've added one for animation. We've been having conversations about how we better showcase trailers and and teaser content and previews. Alistair's been doing an amazing job, helping, come up with all of those categories and think about how we lay them out and how we showcase them. Obviously each year with the Impies, we try to recognize, more things than just games. One of the reasons that we actually don't do genre breakouts for the Impies is because we want to make sure that there's enough room to really celebrate all the other things, art and music and songs. And so yeah, there are. And then, on top of that, I give away too much here. But even on the event side, like we're also thinking about, how we do more to showcase things like music, and music videos and things like that. So yeah, it's on our minds a lot, and I think it's something that we're gonna, definitely see improvements to this year. In fact, I mean, I think we already are, but I think there's more to come.
Yeah.
Like I said, I come from a television world, and I'm really interested in highlighting, lots of things, outside of games as well, and thinking of new ways to showcase that. And so it's certainly something we're having lots of conversations about on the live team.
Well, on the back of that, a lot of people in chat are saying "MM merch, please." It was first brought by MC Alchemist.
No.
So, will you allow us to give you more money?
Yeah, so we are working on the merch side of things. I know it's taken a really long time. I think we have some other cool ideas about how we can do that that are upcoming. But yeah, I am desperately trying to get that going, and I will give everybody an update as soon as I can. And it would probably be helpful if you wanted to share with us like what kind of merch that you want, like Dreams merch or MM merch. Like I think it would be cool to sort of let what people, we can let the Sony licensing teams know what people are wanting. That would be cool.
I think we can all agree that imp plushies will be something that we all love. I would literally
Yes.
buy every single one and put them on my shelf. We need imp plushies as soon as humanly possible.
Okay, I'll have
Absolutely.
Tom like make a thread about it, and we can like gather up all the responses and have a chat about like what people want to see.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
We'd wanted to do some more stuff for like events and shows, merch and stuff like that, and then that all went away.
Oh no.
No, bring it back.
Yes. Yes. So we've debated on the show whether or not Dreams is technically still in its beta, and if the real launch of Dreams and heavy marketing is being planned for a specific milestone within the community, without asking direct exclusive molecule information. Like, do you feel this is the case, or is the game so unique that we're all just on this journey to see where it takes us?
Well, I mean, I think I've sort of said how I feel about it, at least that it is live service, and that means that like there are always updates coming. There are always things that are down the line. Some of those will be bigger things that will get more support. Some of those will be smaller things that are more interesting to our core creators, or specific types of players and dreams. And so it'll be a mix of smaller things and much bigger features. And for some in the top of the show where I sort of said, some of that stuff that I can't really talk about are those, big ones. Like I'm not going to get into the details of like multiplayer or next
Yeah.
gen or anything. It's like, you know, there are, there are inflection points along the way with dreams where there will be big pieces that get, that are splashy and get a lot of attention. And then, like I said, like some of the stuff that we're working on next, which is like, getting message of the day featuring and the things that come with that, are far less exciting to, the larger worlds, but I think are really important to quality of life for people playing the game. So we're always sort of in this mix, and this sort of, the push we get and the attention that gets is always going to sort of depend on the size of the thing that we're, working on or shipping.
Yeah.
But, it's an interesting thing to say about beta, because like I know sometimes we feel that too, that like Dreams is never really finished, but I think the other way to look at that is like it's always evolving, and we're always going to be looking at what's next, what's cool, what can we do, and like I said, that's a mix of short-term things that don't take as much time and things that are really big features that are going to be long term.
Yeah. So on the back of that, if you don't mind me asking, like, or if you can answer, I guess, does Media Molecule have the same conversation going on as far as like the split in the community that each new thing creates now that we have 2 generations in play at once? Because we've talked about it.
Of course. I mean, every developer thinks about that. I mean, you think about that when you're doing things, for separate SKUs, and, especially coming from working in, the FPS world previously to working at Media Molecule, like absolutely. Anytime you have to split your user base, whether that's through offering new maps for a FPS game, or, generation splits, like that's always a consideration. And it's not something that you can just like approach without really thinking about, how you do the right thing for players. It is a really important thing. We take that, obviously seriously. I think, it's one of those like frustrating development problems always.
Yeah, we've had the conversation a few times, and Jamie and I are kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum from a lot of people, because I personally feel that any split just gives me a reason to move forward. As far as like, if there was something that was like, guys, we're sorry, can't do this on PS4 because it's 7-year-old technology, and you better be glad it didn't, like the original Dreams didn't cause it to explode. But like, if I don't want to hold Dreams back. Like for me, I personally don't care about the fracture, because I feel like everybody will get there. But to ask Media Molecule to hold back on what it can do now with PS5 is like holding back a platform that I want to see grow exponentially. And, so like, do y'all have these just debates, or is it more just like the angle of, hey, we got to be mindful of this? Is it?
Well, sometimes it's not about necessarily holding back. It's about how you make those things work together. And we did we had a lot of these conversations around releasing VR. Because obviously it requires some different in-game sorting, some different in-game messaging. It has some different features. Not all of our user base has VR. And so, I think, yeah, of course, we think about this, with every update that has the potential of putting users in sort of like separate groups. So yeah, it's something that we're going to be continuing, talking about as we move forward. And, we certainly want to make sure that anytime we do something that affects, different groups of players, that, we're always thinking how we make that the best experience for everyone.
So it would be safe to assume, obviously we know we can't talk about PS5, it's clearly off the cards, but it would be safe to assume that Media Molecule at least has a plan for Dreams on PS5.
I thought we said that we couldn't talk about.
Hey, I told you. So we just can't talk about it, right? We will not badger her this time. No, not this time.
I think it's safe to say that we have long-term plans for Dreams, and like, we're really about, keeping Dreams going and, keeping Dreams supported.
Yes. Great answer.
So almost like I used to work in communications, almost.
Yeah. So well, actually, Jamie, go forward with your next query.
My final question, and this is that really gets me salty. and Will knows it gets me really salty.
Oh no, it's memes.
It is.
Ooh, controversial.
Will we ever be able to get a specified category for the memes on Dreams so that they have? I appreciate they need their space in Dreams and people love the memes, but for me personally, when I'm dream surfing and I see all these different weird memes that keep popping up, it gets in the way of all the great content that I want to see, and I personally don't like them.
I mean, look, we have had this conversation internally, and there are people in your camp, there are people in the other camp. I totally understand this one. And yeah, actually, we have talked about like a label for, for memes. The thing is that then people who are making them would have to use that, which actually may help them be more discoverable. So maybe that is a good solution. But yeah, it is certainly something that we've actually recently been talking about. So I will keep you personally updated on where we get to with that. I understand the controversy.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Look at how happy he is now to finally ask that question.
It's going to happen at some point, hopefully. That really makes me happy.
Okay, so from Kutai, we have a question. Says, is Abbie pink cupcake bunny?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. What? Wait, he's saying no in chat, but all right, we'll move forward until we get clarification on that question. So I have no idea what it means. So if there are people that are in the know, let us know.
I'm terrified to answer either way, to be honest.
Okay, well, Andy Mason said Abbie is a princess cowboy. So apparently you have like some sort of like code speak that's going on in the community.
No, that's just my PSN ID.
There's that too. There's that too. So
that's just my gamer tag. Like I just have had that for like a decade.
Oh no, the secrets. Please, guys, if you're here, don't badger her. If you,
it's really obvious. I mean, I do show it on streams and things from time to time. I've long ago abandoned any hope of it being like a private tag. I do have a fair amount of privacy settings, but really because I'm just like like an introvert when I'm home and I don't really talk to anybody on PlayStation.
All right. So you talked about your love of film and studies in TV and everything. Will we have a Abbie DLC for Dreams with an original story like Art's Dream?
No.
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 Straight up.
I am a character in a video game though. I am a playable character in Titanfall. You can actually play as me. It is actually my face.
Which the original Titanfall?
Yeah, the original Titanfall. The CQB, the close quarters combat soldier, is actually me.
Awesome.
I need to immediately re-download Titanfall.
Titanfall, which is such an underrated game. It was like the last shooter I played that it was just, to me, I was like, this is the most underrated like FPS in history. But
it was a lot of fun to work on. I have so much respect for the team that I got to work with on that. They were great. And I'm the voice of the main character in that also. So I've done my like I'm in a video game thing, and now I just get to work on this. And I know that is going to prompt the question about when are the Abbie and Tom puppets being released. But
oh yeah, it already happened. DG.
A lot of trust. A lot of trust.
All right.
It would be cool to get them in the Dreamiverse.
I've got a present for everybody.
Yes.
Hey.
There we go.
Just a very cranky, sleepy cat.
Just fur.
Your fur.
Yes. Floof indeed.
What was the inspiration for the name, Beep?
I just think it was a funny name for a cat. It just seemed really cute, and I don't know. That I don't have a great story for it, to be honest.
All right.
At least we know.
Yes, at least we know. That cat is adorable. Love. So, let me see here. We had.
I know he's very distracting.
It's just I love how cats look when you pick them up, where they just they constantly have this I don't know if I like or absolutely hate this. It's like they'll be purring and also looking like they could shoot lasers out of their eyes at the same
Definitely
time.
looks like that right now.
What is this? Where am I? Let's see. So I'm gonna move back into the chat questions for the moment and try to shoot through these. I don't know how long we have you. How long?
I can do a few more minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna bring my workday to a close and start a weekend.
Sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful, and it should correspond right with where we usually end. So, let's get it going. So for let me see here. Saku's Mind asked, please ask Abbie what happened to the thumbed up dreams of the month and week sections with a frowny face.
Thumbed up dreams week month session. You know, we have been doing a lot of playlist reordering and shuffling, and it has meant that like certain playlists have changed where they are. We've taken some out, we've added some back in. And I think the conversation that we really wanted to have with the community is like, this is an ongoing thing. And so like, if you feel strongly, I really love this thing, like it's something that you should share with us. And then I know someone earlier was asking, like, can you share some of the next updates for dreams? One of the things that we are looking at for, that we are actively working on for upcoming updates is, customizable playlists. So there will be a point where you'll be able to say like, this is my favorite one. I really want this. I would like it here. So, that's one of the features that we're currently developing.
Right.
And, I hope that will make it really great for, everyone who has a specific playlist that they really like, while we're really focused on, providing, curation and showing people some of the great stuff that's happening. And also making sure that like, if you're like, this is the thing that I really want to see when I go into dream surfing, that's there for you too.
All right. And Justin Linville Talent asked, as a developer outside of Dreams, I've noticed when experimenting with Dreams logic, it's insane how many solutions I've come to for my indie projects from Dreams. Do you think Dreams is a gateway to outside development of other games, which we have addressed a little bit before?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, I can say I've heard examples of that already, I think. And also, I think it's a really good like previs tool as well. Like we definitely know people who have used it in a like, I'm just going to sort of rough everything out in here, and then maybe build it somewhere else, which is totally fine by us. We think it's really cool. But it's a really, I think it's a great place to sort of workshop ideas and to iterate on things quickly. Say like, oh, do I like this? Does it work? Even if you're not making your final thing in Dreams. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And will there be more cat imps?
Cat imps. There should be. I mean, like, I gotta say, like, we don't currently have any in development, but like, we can make a strong case for it. But actually, it gives me a really good excuse to say, that we are, like we did with Halloween, like we are looking at adding, like more imps and more things into the game on a more regular basis. So that is definitely happening. And now I will make a just personal mental tick box to make some of them cats. I really don't need to be sold on that, if you could tell. That was just like, sure.
That's a definite thing.
We are doing it.
We're doing cats, whether you like it or not.
So Freaky Dreams asked, are there any ideas on the cutting room floor that never made it to the Trello board that we're allowed to know?
I feel like we're not a very like cutting room floor company so much as we're like a backlog back burner company where it's like, we'll save this one for a rainy day. I'm trying to think of something where like we've maybe hit a technical limitation, but like it's kind of the thing that I was saying earlier is that many things can be done. It's just the work that you need to break down in order to make it happen. And some of those things are just like infinitely more complex. Like obviously I see people asking about, monetization in the chat. It's something that the company has, talked about before and about a desire to, add, either ways for players to earn money from their creations or to, add, like monetization features. And that is also one of those things where it's like, it's so complex. Like it is a long-term, very complex thing. And so, like we're not really talking about it. We're not really talking about those questions because it's something that we have to solve a whole lot of more work to figure out like how it's done and how it works, and actually, you know, as something that we could implement. You know, it's very complex for a game, especially like Dreams, where you have, you know, sometimes multiple creators on projects, and, you know, just infinite amount of complexity. It's not really something that, you know, like can just be solved overnight,
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
even if the desire is there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. So well, I guess it would be Beep, I believe. But does Media
Yeah.
Molecule have the office pet mascot?
No, we have a whole wall of all of the people who, of all the like company pets. So like, there's a whole wall in the kitchen area where it's like all the cats and dogs and rats and things that people at have. So it's like a lot of pet mascots.
It's a family of pet mascots.
Yeah. Also, I see Afroman for Peace asking about the audio recorder. We have a big update coming at the end of the month for audio recorder, and if we haven't already, we're going to send out all the details of what that entails. So that is something that like we have obviously heard all the community feedback this year, and you know, want to make sure that we're addressing with everybody. So that is also in the works.
Exclusives. No.
I think we actually already said it on Twitter, but then I'm like, did we? But you know, anyway, it is something that you know, we are actively working on.
Awesome. So, go ahead.
Sorry, Ugly Sofa Gaming asks, is any chance Sackboy may one day officially make his way into Dreams?
Oh, that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
It really would be.
It would really be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess anything is possible in Dreams. I don't actually know anything. I'm not trying to say like we're doing this thing. I don't know, but like, you know, that would be wonderful. It's really fun sometimes seeing, you know, seeing him pop up in the Dreamiverse.
It is.
Yes. Speaking of kids, will there be a mature section?
So, yeah, this is a really interesting question, and one that I could actually probably just do an entire podcast about, because I work really closely with, you know, legal, and I work really closely with moderation, and you know, we have an age rating. And that is something that is taken really seriously, you know, by PEGI, by ESRB, you know, by the games industry in general. And so like we are really held to that. And I think especially in a world where, you know, parents and consumers are really starting to catch up with, you know, UGC, and that is becoming like so much more prevalent in the games industry. You know, that it's a question for anybody who's working on a UGC game, about age ratings, about making sure that, you know, things are safe, or that you're sort of getting off content that might be more mature. And the real answer to that is like we treat everything as based around our age rating. And it doesn't mean that we couldn't do something that is, you know, like a more like kid-friendly version of Dreams or something in the future, or a more, but it does sort of prevent us from doing, I think personally, you know, something that's like specifically here's mature content. There's a whole can of worms that really opens up. On some levels that are way above my head, you know, that are even more at an industry level, and a legal level. So, you know, I don't know, but what I really, you know, I really want to make sure that we help people who are creating things in Dreams understand those boundaries. There is still a lot of leeway within that. And, you know, and I think especially the sort of other side of that is like, could we do something that creates like a version that, you know, is more accessible for young children in schools, to your point about education earlier? You know, I think things like that are possible. You know, but maybe that's a different version of Dreams, or something else. Sorry, it's like a sort of like a industry centric question that I probably just give a very rambly answer to. But it's one of those things that is like, again, seems really simple on the surface, is just like an entire level of depth and complexity.
Oh yeah. Indeed. So
when you have to go through the complexities of everything, like just like you said, just around the ESRB rating alone, it really puts into perspective. It's a miracle that we even have Dreams in the first place. You know, because of the complications of developing the thing in the first place, and then all the legality around everything. It's just amazing that it exists. There must have been so many different loopholes you had to go through and all the different things you had to think about in order to make this compliant with all the regulations and everything. It really blows my mind that it came to actually be what it is.
But that's what, production and publishers and legal, we work very closely with Sony's legal moderation teams. Like that's what they do. And that's really part of, helping guide the game development process and get people over the finish line is making sure that like you've checked all the boxes, ticked off all the things. And especially when new legislation comes about, like for example, GDPR, that all of our systems were in line with the new requirements for that. So like that is an extra side of things that people probably don't see from the outside, but that definitely affects our day-to-day development.
Oh, we have a follow-up question from Downer Island, and he said, will you be coming back to the Maiden Dreams podcast in the future?
Oh, I'd love to. And I also might, send Tom or someone else who, on as well. So it'll be fun. I'm really glad that we were able to make this happen. My schedule has been like absolutely crazy, and I'm really glad that we were able to make it work.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
The best. Yes. It was just pleasure.
Yeah, it was really fun. I hope I got to answer a lot of questions that people had. I'm really sorry for anything that I wasn't able to get to. I mean, like that's the thing with dreams. Like, there's always like a million questions.
Oh yeah, go on for hours and hours in the day.
Probably yes.
and so, being that we're wrapping up, I want to ask this one more question because it's a little bit of a loosey goosey. So, Bobby Love asked, "What else is on your gaming industry bucket list?" Also, hi beep.
So to be honest, like supporting dreams is really, I know this feels like such a cheesy answer, and I'm sorry that I have to give it, but it's like, it's very exciting for me to work on dreams. And, one of the things that I'd really like to do is bring some of my expertise in other areas, to it. Like I sort of, talk about my background in like television. And and I think there's some really fun avenues with like having all this content. Like I really love what Kel does on his stream, where he's got the like little like interstitial content from dreams that pops up and cycles through it. And I just think that there's so many fun possibilities, and this year especially. So we had this year ended up being this like crazy pivot for us where, at the beginning of the year, we had all these plans. We were planning PAX East in Boston. We were thinking ahead to, E3 and summer, and we were planning this really big community meetup in Guilford. And we had all these like fun plans for it. And then, we all got sent home, and we sort of had to rethink of some of the ways that we were approaching things. And actually what happened from that is that like this whole side of dreams that I don't know that we would have gotten to so quickly came out of that. Like, this sort of choose your own adventure thing and the dreams walk and stuff that like Jamie and Tom and our community streams, talked about, like, and the sort of bulletin board and these collaborative projects that people were running, like, Lady Lex and her Eurovision challenge and stuff like that, turned into this, huge conversation about like DreamsCom. And sort of DreamsCom came out of that. And we were like, how do we marry having this big community meetup, but also like letting people showcase their projects and building something creative for them? And it was such a like, and I mean this in the kindest of ways, because like we worked really hard on this, but it was this sort of like thrown together in, a month and a half kind of like, how would we do this? Let's figure it out and piece this puzzle together. And then, from there, we went on to do Halloween. We learned like 1,000 things in between doing that one to doing the next one. And now we're working on Impies, and we've got some other plans and stuff. But it really made me realize like how much I love doing collaborative projects with the community and actually finding ways for all of us to build something big together. I think especially as someone who often makes half-finished projects or wants to do something but maybe doesn't have the like knowledge or skill to sit down and do a full game myself or something that's like, a bigger piece, like that has really struck a chord with me. And it's really something that like I want to focus my attention on and think about and like talk about how we do like collaborative things and like build, content and events and all of these things together. That's something that I've really found a passion for. And I like want to see where that goes.
Awesome.
What a really nice answer. It was really,
Yes.
really, really well structured. And I love the fact that, DreamsCon was designed around the whole everyone staying at home. So like was DreamsCon not something that was pre-planned prior to COVID then, or?
It was, but it was a kind of a real life event, and like now it seems sort of silly
Oh,
to have
okay.
thought about it that way. But it, we were talking about doing, like master classes with molecules, and
Oh,
we actually got as far as I spoke to our local escape rooms about theming them around dreams games and like having that be an activity that was available. And, like, we had all these really like cool plans around
yeah.
it, but like even then, it's not like everybody would have been able to travel to Guildford and participate. And this way, it actually let us bring everybody in a way that did
Mm.
what I think is the coolest thing, which is let everybody showcase their projects and
Oh,
showcase themselves and learn a
amazing.
little bit about each other. And I think we've already learned so much from it. I can't wait to see what the next one is. And
Oh, yeah.
like it's really made me passionate about doing that kind of stuff. And Jamie Breeze is like brilliant, and he's been really spearheading the design on all of those. And I just can't wait to see the next version with everything that we learned from doing it the first time around.
It was by far one of the most exciting things for me in Dreams this year. Well, last year, should I say. It was just like a mini E3 specifically for creators within Dreams, and it was just such a nice
This is beautiful.
way to showcase talent within the community and what games players can expect to come. It was such a well thought out process, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with this year's one.
It was done because of the community too. Like, Sean Freaky Dreams like helped us out with a lot of it, and putting together the showcase that ran ahead of it. And the idea came from one of our streams, and like the conversation that was happening in chat, and like that spurred the dream walk. And it came from people in the community like doing collaborative projects and finding sort of new ways to connect people. So it's like, because we have those conversations with community and because we connect to people in that way, it means it gives us the inspiration to do these kinds of projects and put our efforts into them. So like, I think I think those things happen because of our relationship with community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, any final words, Abbie, that you would like to say to the community?
Oh God, just like thanks everybody for joining and listening to me like ramble for I don't even know how long it's been at this point. And really thank you for all of your support of Dreams. It means a tremendous amount to me and everyone on the team. And we're sort of in the beginning of this year where we're looking at our next updates, what our roadmap for the year is, what we want to do, what we want to plan, and we will be communicating that as we go. And making sure that we, maintain a level of transparency about what we're working on and what we're doing, and talking about things when we can talk about them, which is not always all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. We definitely plan to continue collaborative events. I'm really, really excited for everybody to see, what we're doing for the Impy show. We're doing it like entirely in Dreams, which is
Wow, that'd be
a lot.
amazing.
Very cool, and thank you for all of the support that you give us. From creating things in Dreams, from streaming, from podcasts and sharing, and actually really just from encouraging each other and supporting each other, and it's amazing.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm done rambling.
Yeah, we'll listen to you ramble as long as you want to do it. So, Jamie,
Well, it's just been an amazing show. Thank you so much for opening season 2 for us. This podcast means a lot to both Will and I. It gives us the opportunity to communicate with other dreamers, and as we've said before, we're still learning everything, and we use the community to aid us in that. We're developing our own game and everything, so we get the community to give us ideas and to help us out, and this podcast just really gives us this tool to be able to communicate with people every Friday and give people a place to be on a Friday night. And yeah, I'm just so grateful, and we love it all, so we can't wait to see what happens this year with season 2. It's going to be really good.
Oh, it's great. I love that. And, and I think like I said, keeping an open dialogue between, community and what we can support, and not just about things in games, but like, can we do a better job of like showcasing our community, streams and shows. And like I said, that's one of the things we are actively working on right now. But like that's really important to us too. We totally understand.
I'll just back up everything he said with ditto and thank you. It has truly been an honor, and uh, I know the community appreciates it. So,
Oh, before we go, Vicious,
yeah.
we have that small announcement to make.
Well, make it.
Do you have it ready?
Did no.
You don't. You
No,
don't.
because I remember I put it in the intro for those that were here earlier.
Ah, okay, fine.
Yeah. And you know what? We'll go ahead and play it for the outro as well.
Yes, we will.
So, pay attention to the intro for what we did today, because there's a little gift in there for people who've been asking us about a certain project we're working on.
For a little update.
Again, everybody have a wonderful night. Be safe out here, and take care of you and yours as well as your neighbor. Okay.
And have a great weekend.
Great weekend. Peace.
Thanks,
Cheers,
all.
guys. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.